what originally I guess inspired me would have been my favorite movie as a kid was King Kong, the original one here, and obviously anybody that's ever seen that knows that all the dinosaurs and Kong himself and everything was all stop motion. So that was like seeing that at a young age and mixing it in with the live action, the actors and the cars and everything going by, and then you got these animated monsters. I just always found that really cool, and every day after school I'd want to go home and watch that. I probably saw that movie hundreds of times as a kid. But that was originally what put animating in my head and made me think it was really cool. And then what made me actually start doing it was basically just going online and seeing that other people were already doing it, and me thinking like, oh, I got to try this. I think I can do it. And little by little, I would get better at it and do different things than other people, and that's kind of what got people noticing my channel and my, ever since then, I guess that's just been what the appeal is because I always try and keep things kind of different. It's consistent in style because everybody can tell, I think, the difference between mine and like other people's. But I like to keep things fresh. But that's what made me just get into it, just seeing that other people were doing it, thinking back to my favorite movie as a kid and being like, it's about time I try this. Incidentally, actually, I tried it years ago, but I only had like a video camera, so you'd have to turn the video on and off like little by little just to capture like a half a second of footage or whatever. And I'd be doing it with the 5-point of articulation Batman figures, and I wish I had some of those. I would share them, but there was videotapes and videotapes full of all that stuff, just trial and error stuff, and I thought it was the coolest thing at the time. I didn't have any like the equipment that you get now. There's kids out there that can like run circles around that, but it was cool, just a huge learning curve, but it was something to try out, something to learn. And speaking of King Kong, incidentally, I last year I made this like 20-minute long like compare and contrast video between the original Kong and the like Peter Jackson 2005 one. So that's more, like I said, more compare and contrast, but I get into it a little bit more in that video. I'll link it underneath. Just make sure you grab a snack or something because it's a long video. But yeah, so that's what that was all about. Well, I kind of just went over what got me like into making the animations, like just what interested me in general. So hopefully that's the answer you're after there. But what as far as for like how I learned, it was a lot of trial and error. Like I said, as a kid, trying to do it with the actual videotape, the VHS camera, and that wasn't designed for that at all. But at least I got a feel for what you were supposed to do. Like one frame at a time, movement slight in between each one, and like setting it up in a sequence like that. And it wasn't until many years later, it was probably like 2007 or 2008 when I got my Mac here and I got the programs that I needed to actually like be able to do proper video editing and all that kind of stuff. Because that's always been something else I've been interested in too, is like film and video and any of that kind of stuff. I do a lot of that also outside of the animation. Pardon me, that's just my buddy. He's going to see Dark Knight Rises in a little bit. But yeah, there's my other channel I'll link also underneath if you want to check out any like live action or any of that kind of stuff that me and my friends have done. But as far as for learning how to do the animation, yeah, it was mostly just trial and error, all different things, trying to keep figures up on strings when I'm animating, or figuring out how the best way is to light the things, or just all little techniques, frame rates and sound effects and all that stuff, where the best place is. You're going to do a lot of it, and you're going to look back at it, and you're going to be like, well, this is terrible. Like, I don't like the way this turned out. But I'm not one of those people that, gives up. If I see something bad, I go back and I do it again. Actually, it's funny because I was just watching one of Pharaoh Black's ACBA videos, and his closing line was like, how he hates when people post things, and the caption is like, I know this sucks, but blah, 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 here it is. And his closing line was something like, if you know it sucks, do it again. And that had me laughing because that's always been my outlook on something like this, like I'm not going to put something that I think is going to be less than, what people would expect it to be, what I expect it to be, so basically, yeah, I didn't mean to get so long-winded on that, but yeah, trial and error, that's the answer. The first part of your question I kind of answered just now, I hope. But as far as for like the difference between the superheroes and the wrestling stuff, at this point I like the superhero stuff more just because it seems like there's more variation in what you can do. Like with wrestling, even though it's all different characters and everything. Kind of the same thing. In fact, wrestling and superheroes are very much the same. You got the colorful costumes and the people that don't like each other, and instead of a different superpower, a guy might have a different, finishing move or something. But with superheroes, it's just a much broader sense. Like some guys fly, some guys can like move at super quick speed. It's interesting for me to animate all that kind of stuff or try it. So right now, that's kind of what I'm into. That's not to say that I'm ever going to be not, getting tired of that and going back to wrestling where it's all grounded more in, actual real world physics of like gravity and this and that. So like right now, I like the superhero stuff. That's just more interesting to me, but that's because I've been doing the wrestling animating for a couple of years and I'm just kind of not like so burned out on it anymore as I was, but just, I'm just ready for something different. So, I can't really say overall which one I prefer because I haven't done superhero stuff for long enough to really be able to compare them. But I don't know. I guess I just don't know. But I have fun doing it all. So as long as that's still the case, then I think I'm doing something right. Mike Hagar is a character from a Capcom video game called Final Fight. I got the Super Nintendo version right here. I've also got Final Fight 2. Not bad. They're fun games. They're like just side-scroller beat-em-ups. He has a whole history of his own. I won't get into his whole character history, but basically, if you know the Street Fighter, like all the mythology that goes into that game and everything, all the characters' backgrounds, basically Hagar is like Zangief, the same kind of style of like fighting and wrestling and that kind of thing. Because originally Hagar was going to be in the game, and they replaced him with Zangief at the last minute. So that's why they have all the same moves and everything. If you ever like watch them. Recently, Hagar turned up in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The figures that I made, the original one that showed up in the wrestling promo from like Bret Hart and Kurt Angle a long time ago, he was made out of what was it? A classic deluxe something or other with a UFC guy's head. I think it was Don Fry. And, it was alright. It got the point across. But then when I wanted to go back and make an actual good one, it was when I started buying the Nika or whatever you say, Street Fighter figures. And, like, the style of the characters, like, just the way they looked more like Capcom, obviously, because that's what they were. So I just tried my hand at it, and I made them out of a couple of Street Fighter figures, which was Ken and Guile. I just took parts of each of them, put them together, and then I, like, molded the mustache and the hair and everything. There's a video where I explain it a little better, which I'll also have to link. This is going to be just a series of links, I guess. But that's Hagar. That's who he is. I've always liked the character, so I always just wanted to, show him a little bit of love because nobody really, you can't just go out and buy a Hagar figure. You can't really, nobody really knows about the guy unless they played Final Fight. So that's that. That's why I like him. I think for this one I'm going to have to go with vegetables. I'm not much of a fruit eater. I don't know. It's just never been one of the things that I've really gone after in my life. Like vegetables, it makes more sense if I'm eating like steak or something to just like go ahead and let's be like, well, let's get some broccoli or asparagus or something go along with it. But I never like have reached that point in the day where I'm like, I just need to have grapes or an orange or something. I don't know. It's never really spoken to me. I don't eat a lot of vegetables either. I guess I probably could stand to do that, but I eat them a lot more often than fruit, so I'm going to go with vegetables. I just say to give it your best effort. Try to have fun with it, like make sure you don't post anything that you don't think is good. Obviously there's always going to be a learning curve. People are always going to be able to say, hey, you could improve this if you just did this or that. Don't be afraid to listen to the people who are watching your videos, man. Just, if there's going to be people that come along and rip you apart for no reason, they're not going to be able to do any better probably, so don't even listen to them. But if somebody comes along and says, hey, try this, give it a shot. Might be good. Don't be afraid to try anything new, man. That's all I can say. I'd want to try something huge. I'd want to be able to collaborate with a lot of different animators on one big project. I don't know what it would be, but it'd be something where we could all discuss an idea, get something going, and like all put our efforts in and come out with something really just awesome. I mean, lately we've been I've personally been trying to collaborate a little more with some voice work here and there, or like getting people to help me out with some things. And like I like the way it's all coming together. If it was possible to get us all together in one spot at one time to do all that, that would be great. All too often I see people like ripping each other apart for no reason, whereas they should just be trying to learn from each other. And I guess that's what happens when you get older like me. You just don't care. You don't get into the feuds of animating. Like there are people out there that are like, you know, talking about how they're better than this person or that person, but they never show it. And so I see that and I just laugh at them. But yeah, for me personally, in the long run, I think a big collaboration, I think that would be awesome. That's actually something that I have thought about doing. I really like the latest Marvel vs. Capcom game, and I do have a lot of the figures, as you say, so trying to pull something like that off, I think would be really cool if I could figure out how to do it. I think I could probably put something together. I don't know if I would use like a lot of the organic sets or like more of the CG kind of stuff, but I don't know. We'll figure something out. I mean, I got a lot on my plate right now with all different animations, so we'll find out, I guess. I'd like to do something with it, though. I don't know when it'll happen, but I definitely want to get something done with this guy because he is just a sweet figure. Like, I mean, this is basically spot on to how he looked in the movie, you know? So, it was one of my favorite movies, like, as I got a little bit older. When I first started getting into Batman, like, Michael Keaton was the star of the movies, and so he was, like, pretty much the Batman that I got to know. And to be able to have, like, pretty much the perfect representation of him in those films, like, I got to do something with it. I get preoccupied with all this other stuff I'm doing, and I start having fun with that. But, you know, one day, there'll definitely be something with this guy one day.